and his talk is titled Using APIs and Microservices as the Glue Between Observed and Derived Facts.
Hello. Can you guys hear me? All right. Okay. I've been listening to some of the conversations and talks that have been given, quite a bit of rigor. Okay. Louder? All right. I've been listening to some of the conversations and talks that have been given and really enthralled by the rigor in a lot of those. The talk that I have in front of you, it's based on a very simple idea, but that idea has allowed me to address a really, really difficult problem that we had in our domain. So I'll talk a little bit about our motivation and justification for using this approach, and then what I'm hoping is that you guys can maybe ask questions interactively, interrupt me, however you want to take it. I'm going to try and get us through the content, but the really important bit is how we are using APIs and microservices to solve the issues of availability, consistency in a regulated environment like a bank. So let's get started. The basic idea is pretty simple. Reality is observed, right? When we look around, when we talk to people, when we play a video game against a human opponent, right? We are observing every single move that our counterparts are making. Even in a conversation right now, you're listening to me speak. To me, at least that's how I'm defining reality. The state is derived. You're taking this conversation and you're forming some opinions. Or as you're playing a video game, the score during a Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat, that's your state, right? So individual actions of two players contribute to that state. We react, right? We observe the reality based on all of these stimuli, and then we react to them and we construct our own model of reality. The interesting thing again is if you are reacting to something, right? If you are absorbing some of this data, some of these events and reacting to them, your own reactions can then become inputs to someone else, right? So it's a chain reaction that I tell you something, you absorb it, you come up with your own model of reality, and then you speak about it and someone else can derive information from them. So this is like a chain reaction. And as I say over here, the observers of some of these visible reactions use them as their own input and react to create their own models of reality. Why am I talking about human beings and conversations and reality? Because functionally decomposed systems with clearly defined boundaries, they act in a very similar way. A system has a primary set of observations or data that enters that system, it processes it, and then it makes that information, the derived information, available to downstream systems, which in turn keep doing this. That's how a lot of enterprise systems work, especially functionally decomposed ones. So that's the link between reality and a state. Now, why is this important to us? Why even have this concept of observed reality and derived state and the decoupling of these ideas? I'll tell you the motivation for coming up with this concept. Well, applying this concept, I shouldn't say coming up with this concept. I'm sure other people have thought about this. As we all know, eventual consistency is a beautiful thing. It solves a lot of problems, except when it doesn't, except when eventual consistency is not really applicable, right? If you think about historically how banks operated, ledgers used to be carried via horse-drawn carriages. Not even overnight processing. We're talking like month-end processing, year-end, quarter-end processing. That's where a lot of these financial statements and disclosures issues come in, right? So eventual consistency has always been acceptable in banking. But then we did not have Venmos of the world, peer-to-peer payments, QR-based payments from China or India. We didn't have these real-time interactions in those days. So now we live in a slightly more interesting environment where customer-facing interactions, customer-triggered interactions have implication on a state in real time. And therefore, the notion of eventual consistency cannot be applied in a blanket manner. So what can we do? Well, I think I just spoke about it, right? We cannot apply the notion of eventual consistency in a blanket manner, which also implies we should not apply consistency, strong, immediate consistency in a blanket manner. We need to separate out the concepts, apply immediate consistency where it is absolutely needed, and eventual consistency where we can get away with it, right? And that's where this notion of observed facts and derived state comes from. When a person pays you, when a person pays a merchant, when a person sends you some money, all of these interactions are very, very important to you. When you make a payment on your credit card account, you don't want that transaction to be lost, right? That's not something where we can play with, hey, this is asynchronous replication, hopefully our data center will never go down. It's all good, right? So in that specific scenario, we absolutely need guaranteed, immediate, strong consistency, even if it means taking a hit to availability. Would you rather, when you open your mobile phone to make a payment or send money to someone, get an error message saying, sorry, something is off about the situation right now, we are working on it, please try again, or the bank silently accepts your payment, says everything is fine, and then 2 months later you realize your landlord did not get the money, right? So you would much rather be able to react to things more in real time. So in that context,